So OpenAI has had a very busy week. On April 14th, they introduced GPT 4.1 in the API. On April 16th, they introduced OpenAI O3 and O4 Mini. This is O3 full, not mini, but just straight up O3. And somehow this didn't make the actual headline. O3 and O4 Mini did, but they released Codex CLI, which is absolutely insane. Why? It's just the same exact thing as Claude Code, right? No, it is open source, and actually open sourced. Yes, OpenAI, closed AI as I like to call it, actually has something that is properly open source with the licenses you can see here, not just any license, but the Apache license. You can get a little snapshot of what's going on with it here. Yes, commercial use, modification, distribution, patent use, private use. This all means that you are also able to use whatever model you want with it. Out of the box, it appears to run exactly like Claude Code, maybe with a few more steps, but it's effectively going to be the same thing, but with their models. But that's not all they have done. They're also in talks of purchasing Windsurf, my personal favorite AI code editor, whatever you want to call it, for $3 billion. In talks. Not official, but in talks. So as always, I'm going to test out GPT 4.1 as well as O4 Mini High and see how it actually codes. And I actually did use it briefly yesterday where I had this terminal selection and I just said fix, but it was a type mismatch in Zig. And all I said was fix with that selection, and I just kept going and it kept messing up and kept rerunning things and it kept recommending things and then editing and running, and it messed up, and it not messed up, it just couldn't fix it, right? And this went on for a very long time. Like, you see that loading bar continue to just go and go and go and go. I can't even get all the way to the bottom of this thing. And as you can see, I only did 4 prompts. I told it to fix. I said fix this because it ended that previous prompt. Then I just said I fixed it. And how I fixed it was switch the model to Gemini 2.5 Pro and tell it to fix it, and it fixed it one shot. But maybe that was a fluke. These AI models typically aren't that great at Zig, so let's go back to something a little more familiar. Rust, day 3, part 2, I never solved. And I'm going to prompt GPT 4.1 to solve Advent Code 2024 day 3 part 2 in Rust. Put it in its own directory, day 3 part 2, similar to how you see it over here, and copy the input from day 3. Use the readme.md file to see part 1, the solution to it, and part 2 description. This is asking it to do multiple things at once, which I highly recommend you don't, but I'm curious to see how it'll perform. And it ran it and came up with this number. And there's one way to find out if it's right. Answer, paste, submit. And you got the right answer. One-shotted that, actually. Let's take a look at this code. Read entire input, regex, and then we scan the input left to right, tracking state. Okay, while if. Okay, a lot of nested if statements, but hey, if it works, it works. I honestly thought it would get like most of it right, but not the entire thing right. Not bad. What are the actual benchmarks on this? So 4.1 is significantly better than 4.0 at a variety of coding tasks. At Advent Code for sure, because 4.0 I don't think would have done that in one shot, especially all of the things that I just gave it. Although 4.1 trying to fix a Zig code, Zig's tricky. Okay, I will give it that. Including agentically solving coding tasks, front-end coding, making fewer extraneous edits, following diff formats reliably, and ensuring consistent tool usage and more. So for the Sweetbench verified accuracy, it is at 55%, which blows basically all of the others, including 4.5 out of the water. It is 6% higher than O3 Mini High, which again is a fine model for coding, but it's not, it doesn't work that well within something like Windsurf. I don't know about Cursor, because it is very, well, where 3.7 Sonnet likes to reach its hands into places you didn't tell it, O3 Mini, you have to confirm, yes, I want you to write this code, and then you have to iterate manually over top until you get what you actually want. So it wouldn't have done all that entire one shot that 4.1 just did, in other words. Oh, nice. They have a side-by-side of 4.0 and 4.1 with this prompt here, make a flashcard web app. The user should be able to create flashcards, this and that. And yeah, this one definitely looks better than this over here. Oh yeah, way better. Real world examples. Windsurf, GPT 4.1 scores 60% higher than GPT 4.0 on Windsurf's internal coding benchmark, which correlates strongly with how often code changes are accepted on the first review. Their users noted that it was 30% more efficient in tool calling, which is a huge thing. That's something that Gemini 2.5 Pro is not as good at, tool calling, and about 50% less likely to repeat unnecessary edits or read code in overly narrow incremental steps. This is what O3 Mini did. These improvements translate into faster iteration and smoother workflows for engineering teams. So that's 4.1. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed between what you saw on screen and what I've done in my own projects. 4.1 is actually pretty solid, except for that Zig thing. But again, Zig is a whole beast in and of its own. I will let that part slide. As for the Rust code, one-shotting, as well as working in my code base, it's actually been pretty decent. Now I want to give O4 Mini High a shot with the Advent of Code in Rust. Solve Advent of Code 2024 day 4 in Rust, put it in its own directory day 4, and since there's no part 1 solution, part 2, it's just part 1, I put the link here and I think it'll work. Yeah, see, this is why you don't ask O4 Mini High or O3 Mini to do anything with any sort of breadth, but I'll let it keep trying. And here we are, 46 lines of code later. All right, so it gave me 2554. Let me input that here and see. We got the right answer. Cool. So similar to the O3 Mini, it is good at coding. It's just very, very focused and wants you to be sure of itself because it's overthinking itself. Oh, do you want part 1 or part 2? Like I just said, day 4 in Rust. So it was trying to clarify part 1 and part 2 or just part 1. I actually appreciate that. Wow, that's pretty dang nice. What is happening? Is OpenAI being a good developer AI? What's happening here? Well, let's test it out in an actual code base. I'm just going to ask it to do something very simple. Search filter on the timeline here, drop in React Native Papers search bar at the top of the timeline screen, hook it into your get all entries results, and let users filter by species, date, or notes. It may have only written 21 lines of code here, but it worked. You see the bar right there? And you see how you can see all the entries down here. But if I start to type in crappie, which is a fish species, only that one shows up because that's the only one there. Okay, cool. That was a perfect use case for O4 Mini. Well, hold on now. I will say it did analyze, search, analyze, then edit. A lot of thinking, a lot of reasoning. That's what O4 Mini High especially is best at, is thinking before it does anything. And between these examples and some other coding that I've done off camera with O4 Mini, it is pretty solid. It is better than O3 Mini without a doubt. I do suspect that there is some, a little bit better integration of OpenAI models into Windsurf now than previously, because OpenAI and Windsurf have been pretty tight-knit lately, leading me to believe that this is actually going to happen, and it is in serious talks, not just ideas floating around, because you see Varun Mohan, the CEO of Windsurf, being in OpenAI's GPT 4.1 announcement live stream, and you see that they've been testing 4.1 for the past couple of weeks. I know this hasn't been normal for Windsurf with other AI companies. I'm not sure how it has been with OpenAI, but also 4.1 and O4 Mini High are free for all Windsurf users this week and will be discounted after. I haven't seen them do that with any other model. Although I will say Fuad here in the OpenAI Codex CLI announcement video just a day ago, well, he had cursor running in the background, not Windsurf. Come on, Fuad, what are you doing, buddy? It was just market research, guys. It was just market research. Just had to see what the competitor had to offer, right? Okay. So what does this mean for developers? All good things. OpenAI and Anthropic, the war is just ongoing. Like now, OpenAI actually has a model 4.1 that can compete with 3.5 and 3.7, at least in my limited experience. 4.1 was pretty dang good. O4 Mini's good, but it's just a different style of coding when you actually use it to code. And they also just released something that is better than Claude Code. I don't know on a one-to-one, but it's open source, so you can make it better than Claude Code and personalize it and use whatever model you want with it in the CLI, which is a huge win for so many people who don't want to leave NeoVim or whatever IDE they have, but they still want access to all of these awesome models and they could just run it in their terminal. But now, again, with whatever model they want, and models that are a whole lot cheaper than Claude Code because those were dang expensive. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Y'all have a good one.